Oh, it's just regular water because my soda stream's kind of messed up right now. Woo boy. I have no doubt from the thumbnail alone that I probably rustled some jimmies. This is definitely something I've been wanting to talk about for a while now. Game companies charging $70 for sequels that feel more like glorified expansions than anything else. If I wanted to pay that much for an expansion, I'll just continue to play FF14. My name is Umbruhh, and we're going to be asking the million-dollar question of why the video game industry could possibly be crashed. We'll be asking the question as to why so many video game sequels feel less like sequels and more like DLCs, for lack of a better word. But before we begin, I just wanted to give a quick thank you to our sponsor, Mother Earth, for water, because I'm thirsty as hell. Jesus. Fuck. I just wanted to say that I want to try to be fair about this, considering how, like, advanced and kind of difficult video game development has gotten over the years, and how advanced graphics have become compared to something like, let's say, that came out 10 years ago. Wait, games like Titanfall and Watch Dogs came out 10 years ago? Fuck, I'm old. So trying to improve beyond a predecessor that came out in, like, let's say 2018 or 2019 can be kind of hard to make any massive improvements or any core changes to the gameplay, because if you swing too hard in one direction, you end up possibly alienating your audience. However, with that being considered, there's been quite a few cases lately of sequels feeling completely lacking in innovation more than other sequels, and then the developers have the gall to charge $10 more than its predecessors, despite the sequels feeling more like copy-pastes of other games. And there's two games I want to talk about first. One of them everybody has been calling out to death, and rightfully so, and another one that I'm most likely gonna get crucified for saying this. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the shit one, not the good one, and God of War Ragnarok. And there's a few others that come to mind, but I'll get to those in a sec. Now, I guess it's fair to say that mentioning COD would be obvious because of the whole COD is the same game every year arguments, but, well, though, except in this case, that statement is actually true. And even Vanguard or Modern Warfare 2 have some validity in this statement, to an extent. Although with MW3, this statement is even more true, especially when it was originally rumored that we wouldn't even be getting a Call of Duty game in 2023, and that it would just be another year of support for MW2, and even a planned expansion was rumored too, so something like what Destiny does. But knowing the greedy, anti-consumerist breast milk drinkers at Activision, they unsurprisingly decided to make it a $70 game rather than an expansion like they said they would, or like what was rumored, I guess. So let me start here. The gameplay, the HUD, the menu, almost everything is fucking identical. Like, you can literally use the exact same weapons that were in MW2. Like, seriously, your unlocks and everything carry over. All the weapons, all your camos, the operators, even some of the maps from MW2, they were all brought to MW3. So if I was in a coma for a year and you showed me some MW3 gameplay, I would believe that you were just playing MW2. Not to mention how their zombies mode is less like the traditional Call of Duty zombies and more just DMZ, but instead of terrorists or private military contractors, you fight zombies. And let's not even talk about the shit show of a campaign that played like a single player version of Warzone. And speaking of reused assets, here's the funny part. There's also the fact that the entire launch map lineup consists entirely of the exact same maps that were in the original MW2, and I think and the latest DLC maps from Season 2 Reloaded are literally reskins of said reskins. But I mean, I guess it's okay now, right? Because you can play as A-Train from The Boys, and you can play as a Space Marine, and the kid who crashed the Game Awards back in 2022, so I guess it's all excusable? But I won't talk about what's been talked to death a million times by now, which is why I move on to another game now. God of War Ragnarok, the sequel to God of War 2018, as well as the conclusion of the Norse mythology duology in the God of War series. Now, I know what I'm going to say is a bit of an unpopular opinion, because God of War Ragnarok has been really popular among people, and has become one of the reasons why some people buy PS5s, like me, before they announced it was coming to PS4 like literally a month after I got my PS5. So I fell for Sony's meme, but let's just say God of War 2018 is easily one of my favorite exclusives until I played Bloodborne and it wasn't, but it's still very much like one of my favorite games, and I pretty much loved everything about it. The fun combat, the emotionally gripping storyline, the beautiful world, there was just a lot about it that I loved, and when I finished it, I could not wait to play the sequel, wondering what they would do next, where they would take the story, they would upgrade the gameplay, the visuals. I just couldn't wait. But then when it actually did come out, I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked it. A solid 7 out of 10, or 7.5 out of 10 for me, but honestly, it just felt like more of the same. Like, this isn't the game that you would drop $600 for a console on. Like, it felt way too safe of a sequel. The general gameplay feels almost identical to God of War 2018, with the only real changes being upgrades to combat, such as a new weapon, the Draupnir Spear, also the fact that it's the only new weapon as well, a new way to use Spartan Rage, whether it's a heal or a single powerful attack, pressing down triangle to use your weapon ability, although this only really feels effective for the Draupnir Spear because you can remote detonate your spears to explode. But unless you're literally pressing your face against the screen or playing on PS4, the visuals aren't really that much better. But I mean, most gamers aren't going to be focusing on the pixel count of Kratos' leather armor and how many hairs are rendered on his nipples, unless you're somebody on Twitter that starts arguments over console wars. But yeah, of course, there's also the reused animations, reused assets. I think even a few of the voice lines are reused too, like particularly kind of like the attack sounds that Kratos has. It honestly just felt like a DLC or an X-Pack, although it's nowhere near as scummy as what Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 did. I will clarify that. Now, I'm only talking about those two games specifically, because those are the two games that I was able to play and discover myself, but I've heard this grievance kind of with other games too, so some of them being games like Spider-Man 2, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The former being an interesting case because unlike God of War Ragnarok, this game wasn't held back by a PS4 release, and for the latter, it's definitely shitty because it's the only game I think Nintendo has charged $70 for on the Switch, and especially considering it's running on heavily aged hardware, although I did hear there's been a few improvements and some new additions into the game. But you know, expecting Nintendo to release a console with hardware from this decade is like expecting Bloodborne to get a PC port. Please, please, please let this video age poorly. Please, bring it to PC already. I want my 60 FPS. But back to the topic at hand. You've also had other games that have come out in the past, like Uncharted Lost Legacy and Spider-Man Miles Morales, for example, and in a way, these games are technically sequels too. Like, they both take place after the events of the games they're technically standalone expansions for. But the difference is, when Lost Legacy launched, it launched at $40 US, and Miles Morales released at $50 US at launch, not counting the version that comes with a remastered code of, or a code of the first Spider-Man game, but remastered. But the standalone version was like $10 cheaper than what games are normally charged for, since like these games don't change a whole lot, so they were more so standalone expansions, and they weren't charged, and they were charged as such. But sadly, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore with some of the other games that have come out in recent years. But, and honestly, it's just been kind of annoying to see the lack of innovation and risks taken in a lot of video game sequels these days, and I just kind of wanted to rant about it and give my 2 cents. But let me know down in the comments below whether you agree, whether you disagree, whether you want to call me a piece of shit for even thinking so. That was probably extra. But like always, it has been a pleasure. So stay tuned for my next video where I'll show you all how to hack your school's computer using only a leapfrog. And of course, we will be doing some taste test sampling of some different games for the Nintendo Switch. There we go. These are the only physical games I have for the Switch. But thank you again as always, and I will see you guys later. Umbruhh out. Okay, I can go now.